Hey everybody! And a warm welcome to a new story. Today's Reddit story is called Manager Tried to Take Delivery Man's Livelihood, Makes Him Fear for His Family's Future. Don't worry, I've got your back. From the Reddit PROREVENGE subreddit. I hope you like it and will enjoy the time. If you like my content and this kind of videos, please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. As always, this story is told from the original writer's point of view. The link is down below in the description. Enjoy it. Back in the warehouse days, we had an ever-growing clearance section. Because of this, the company employed a delivery driver to be solely responsible for delivering clearance items purchased by customers. This delivery driver, let's call him John, was amazing. He was a veteran of the industry, had 2 trucks, a smaller and a larger one, did most of the heavy lifting, always took the time to chat to me as I helped him load up his delivery run, would bring me beer when it was an extremely hot day, and knew I'd been busting my A. He had worked for a bunch of high-end furniture stores, but when the recession hit, and companies went belly up or cut costs, he found himself struggling for work. The company I worked for had a problem with delivery drivers, due to the fact the company was cheap, and wouldn't pay the industry rates most delivery drivers charged. John was happy to make a few concessions for cash-in-hand deliveries, and naturally management took advantage of that. After a few problems in the warehouse, I asked John if I could get a few shifts working for him as his delivery offsider. John immediately said yes, as he had problems of his own with lazy employees. I immediately fell in love with the work. We would do a 4 a.m. start to get deliveries on the watch 6, and if we scheduled it correctly we could be done by 2 to 2:30 a.m. I loved the physicality of it, loved being on the open road, and loved swapping stories with John. He would talk about his wife and kids, and I'd make fun of his tacky scorpion tattoo. The problem started when John would get his delivery run sheet from the store, and would see the delivery prices quoted to the customer from the manager. To give you an idea, the store would charge $95 for a local delivery. This was with a full day of deliveries, and approximately 20 to 30 deliveries. John would charge slightly more as he was doing maybe 5 to 8 deliveries and they'd be all over, as opposed to all being in a specific area. John would go in and chat to the manager and ask why a customer was only being charged $50 for a 3-seater sofa bed, going up 6 flights of stairs, when normally it would be a $110 delivery charge and $100 for every flight of stairs past the first level. The manager would just shrug and say she reduced the delivery to close the sale. We'd get other deliveries where we'd have to carry a 10-piece sectional sofa up 7 flights of stairs because the customer wouldn't reserve an elevator, or in some cases the goods wouldn't fit in the lift. We'd get the sofa inside, unbag it, connect the sections, take the rubbish away only for the customer to hand John $30 in cash. It was soul-crushing. I remember getting the customer to sign off on the paperwork as John said he'd meet me back at the truck. I grabbed the last bits of rubbish and made my way downstairs and jumped into the passenger seat. John was trying not to look at me. He'd been crying. I asked if he was okay and he kind of broke down a little, and confused in me, that he was struggling with bills, that the company I worked for was his only decent paying job, that he was getting screwed over by the manager. That he might have to sell his trucks to pay his bills. My heart went out for this guy. He was becoming a fast friend and genuinely loved his job. I began to hatch a plan, based on my inside knowledge of the manager, the area manager, the general manager and the company in general. I took John to a small bar and bought us a few drinks. We sat in a booth and I began to lay out my plan for revenge. I asked John why he didn't give the manager a price list and charge more for his deliveries. John, if I do that, the manager said that they'd drop me as their driver and find someone cheaper. I laughed. Me, call her now and quit. I explained that we had seen the run sheet for tomorrow. We had a massive run. 10 deliveries and we already knew the manager had quoted ridiculously cheap prices, like $20 a delivery. John wasn't sure. Me, look, any other contract driver would charge $200 minimum per delivery. There's no way another driver will touch this company. John got on the phone, called the manager, put her on speaker, and quit right then and there. The manager, as expected, talked a big game. She said they'd be better off without John and that he just lost his biggest contract. John hung up, looking sick and panicked. I reassured him it'd be okay. I checked my watch, the store closed at 5 p.m. It was currently 1 p.m. I promised John by 4 p.m. he'd get a call back from the manager. In the meantime, we set about creating a new list of demands, that if they were to employ John they'd do the following: charge a preset price, given to them by John, pay for John's off-cider and gas for any difficult deliveries, balcony lifts, fire escape deliveries. They'd charge an additional fee that if they wanted to terminate John they'd have to give him the appropriate notice. Sure enough, at 4.30, John's phone rings. Would you look at that? It's the manager. John answers and puts the phone on speaker. The manager, in a much more polite tone, says that if John will do the delivery tomorrow she'll offer him a $50 gift card for the store. I hang up the call. John looks at me in disbelief. I tell him when she calls back, you lay out your demands, and that's that. 5 minutes later his phone rings again. It's the manager. John answers and puts her on speaker phone. The manager starts her spiel but John cuts her off. John begins listing the problems he's having with the company. At first he's nervous, but then the months of being screwed over kick in and he lays down the law like a champion. The manager laughs off John's request and I encourage John to relay the next bit of information to manager. John, you know as well as I do no other contract driver would get out of bed for less than $250 a delivery, for what you're proposing. You either sign off on my demands or good luck tomorrow. Manager, fine, do the delivery tomorrow and then we can. John, no. I'm coming down there now. You'll sign off on everything, then we will load the truck up tonight and finish the delivery tomorrow. He hangs up. We go to the store and the manager looks pissed. She keeps itching that John has her between a rock and a hard place and that John is extorting her. I can't help but point out that I'm sure John's kids would like to eat tomorrow. John slaps the new contract he's written up by hand in the truck, and says sign it. The manager signs it, and John backs his truck into the warehouse. We notice as per usual it's sofa beds, glass coffee tables, the heaviest items this company sells. The manager walks out to the warehouse and smirks as we struggle to load the extremely heavy goods into the truck. As we finish, the manager has a few snarky parting words. Manager, John, with this new contract, just so we are clear, you have to fulfill the delivery no matter what. Me, no matter what, huh? Manager, even if the customer isn't home, I expect you to make sure the goods are there. I don't want any goods coming back to the warehouse. John, you got it. It was a glorious delivery day the next day. 80% of customers' goods wouldn't fit, as the manager didn't explain to the customers that they had to measure their door frames. We had customers screaming at us, abusing us, saying it was unfair they had to now pay more than $20, and how dare we charge them more. We just laughed and complied with the manager's directive. We left every piece of furniture at the property. Some in the hallways, others in the middle of doorways. Some we just left at the front door as some customers refused to accept the delivery as they didn't want to pay us any money at all. For the nice ones who had cash ready and were happy to pay us for our obvious efforts, we went that extra mile to get the goods in, and make sure they had the best delivery experience possible. Update: what happened with John after I quit my warehouse job and landed a few acting gigs. I finally landed an acting role on a prominent series. Once at the job I managed to talk to one of the producers about John, and John got a job picking up the sets from the studio warehouse and transferring the sets to the studio. He would then work with the night crew to erect the sets and get them ready for the next day's shooting. I see him around the studio lot between setups and also most nights when I wrap. He is making great money, and is comfortably supporting his family and put his kids through school. And there's still a good hard-earned beer at the end of the day. If you like the story and the content, please leave a like, subscribe and share this video. Also have a look into my playlist for more entertaining stories. What do you think about this Reddit story? Thank you and have a nice day.